Hello everyone, this is Wyatt, and this is our first devlog on Risk It Ricky's Delivery Co. In today's devlog, we're going to look into our brainstorming process, some early concept art, as well as our first working demo of the game. Regarding gameplay, we were mainly inspired by Crazy Taxi, as we're big fans of the fast-paced and goofy playstyle of the game. Regarding art, we drew our inspiration from a multitude of different games such as Horizon Chase 2, Drive, and Art of Rally. The first part of our design process was putting Seth to work. Here you can see we're brainstorming ideas and Seth is visualizing them for us. This gives us a better idea of what this game might end up looking like at the end. You can also see some elements that we were playing around with, such as a damage-based point system, different driving styles, whether you were driving more passively or more aggressively, and different challenges that the player could face during this game. We also experiment with what potential UI could look like as well. During this process, we also established some core elements that we would like to feature in the game. In line with the driving, we also want the controls to be easy to pick up and the handling to be smooth. A couple secondary elements that we wanted to feature is a destructible environment as well as a strong focus on cosmetics. Everyone wants to drive a cool car. Now that we have our game premise, we know how we want it to play, and we know how we want it to look, let's check in with Seth to see how concepts are going.
Thanks for the intro, Wyatt. Now let's sit back and relax, because I've got quite a few things that I need to get through. Let's start with cars. Starting with designing our car, I relied heavily on our references we've collected. Art of Rally and Drive can definitely be seen as our main influences here. And after finalizing the designs and the details to show my team, we landed on something like this. This is where I sort of run into a problem. I've never drawn cars before, and I hardly know anything about them. So on to design round 2. For this design, we discussed using a base beater car that would be consistent in the first couple of levels at least. A Volkswagen Golf became our main inspiration, and I was able to find plenty of references. A green one, a yellow one from the back, and this funky blue one with the body kit. Nice. Getting back to sketching the car was definitely taking better shape now. I had less cars to focus on and more time to perfect our main car. This iteration definitely has its lovers and haters, but I refused to give up and started tinkering with the original design, making one of them more curvy, one of them with large, more cartoony headlights and a light rack, and one of them I just bumped the back out a little bit. I don't even know why I spent time doing this, but I did it, and some people liked it. We still weren't completely in love with the new design, so we went back to the drawing board. The drawing board being me. This time I was determined to get it right. I combined bits and pieces from previous iterations directly on top of a standard Golf model, and started to exaggerate areas of it with damage to really show that this car was probably not something that should be on the road. But it has potential to become something great, with some TLC and pocket change. I'm actually pretty happy with this final version. I think it kind of collects everything we've sort of been looking for and puts it all into one design. At this point in our development process, we've come up with the car, but what about the environment that we drive around in? Let's take a look at that. From the beginning, I've been pushing to go for this countryside town aesthetic. The gameplay will probably be pretty chaotic, so I think peaks and valleys in population density would really benefit the player. You could be on a long, winding road with nothing to see for miles, or in a more dense city area where you crash into a local donut shop to deliver some new fryers. I was really inspired by small gas stations, lush country fields, hay bales, even this Highland cow. Isn't it cute? Drawing out some hot spots where you could possibly collect more points could be places like diners, ice cream trucks, farms. For farm in particular, I can already imagine you slamming your car through a barn and leaving with feathers all over it like in an old-timey cartoon. The last thing to go over is characters. With where our game is headed, all I could think about was country folk. Missing teeth, wheat stalks, the whole 9 barns. Yeah! The style is very basic, curved, smooth lines that lead into one another, and not a lot of harsh geometry to deal with, making our modeling process a lot easier. You're welcome, Wyatt. We were thinking that the tall, lanky one has the potential to be Ricky, our main character, as he sort of encapsulates that deliver fast no matter the damage look that we are going for. The other characters could be our potential pickup missions, ranging from gothic book girl to jock on supplements. Overall, the characters may not be our main point of focus, but they do carry our missions and story along, so they'll be important as the process continues. And that concludes this week's concept art. Now we move on to Massimo with the demo. Fasten your seatbelts.
All right. So, first thing we have to do is open Unreal. Once it's opened up, come up with a really clever name for our project here. As you can see, choose the vehicle template, change the quality preset from maximum to scalable, so that way you can adjust the quality of the game, that way your computer doesn't explode. When all that's done, we are gonna make our way to the marketplace to borrow some assets, just to make our demo feel a little more alive. So once those are loaded into the scene, we open up the little town. Once it's loaded up, we're gonna look around this little place, find a good starting point for the demo. And I came across this great house for sale, and honestly, I think it's a great place to start. So we're gonna pick a car here, and seeing it's like very small town, rural setting, it only sounded right to use a pickup truck. And then once we have all that settled, we're gonna work on the camera. And as you can see right now, the camera is like directly behind the truck, which is not what we want. So I'm just gonna change this so it's looking kind of down at the car. There was no like set measurements, a lot of like trial and error. You can see in the little viewport on the right what the camera's seeing. So I'm just kind of moving it down, checking the viewport, moving it down until we get something that we like. And it's not terrible. See if we can like hit some stuff, and I'm stuck. Immediately got stuck, but it's fine. We're just gonna pretend it didn't happen, go again. And then I crashed again and again and again, but it's okay. After I got all the crashing out of the way, I did a little more exploring of the little town, and I came across this little farm area like all the way on the other side of town, and it seemed like a good spot to have our drop-off point. So we're gonna go from the house where we started to somewhere to pick up the package, and then have to make our way to the farm where the barn was there to drop off the package. And that's going to be our mini game loop for this demo. So with all that said, let's jump into making some stuff work. First thing I did was make a little area for the player to drive into, and just kind of testing it out by like printing out a message on the screen when you enter it saying like, hey, you're inside of it. So here we go, just kind of placing it. I ended up having the pickup spot right outside the police station. Maybe you're picking up like a box full of weapons or something. I don't know. But so it didn't work. After some troubleshooting, found out it wasn't working because it was set to like collide with everything instead of letting things go through the object. So once I figured that out, it was super simple to fix. Then we got it to print the message, so whenever you go inside the box, it prints on the top of your screen. So now the next thing to do was just change the text to actually do some things, and it took longer than I would like to admit, like a good hour, but I am still learning Unreal Engine, so it doesn't count. With all that done, this was the final product. So you make your way over, pick up your package, you see a crate gets put in the back of your truck, you make your way across town towards the farm area where you can see the red smoke, which indicates where you need to like bring the package. Do a little reverse here, and then bam, package delivered Mission successful.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.